you're getting greedy. There's no reason for you to upcharge this much.
It looks like the situation has been handled already by Ravensburger.
And somehow they, hit the ball out of the park again and make me just as excited for the upcoming set. And I would kind of hate to lose a game just because I didn't know like what to expect from my opponent.
I wasted my money on those Stitch Rockstars. Damn it, they're getting banned.
I think my favorite song card,
it could incriminate you in number 1, Squared.
I think of my aunt. You said dead?
Yep.
Have like a Disney movie watch party area or like have
learn how to make popsicle in real life.
Races or people from different religions, like whoever shows up to your LGS, treat them kindly. Let them know that they have a place in this space.
Yeah, when I talk English.
Can only speak one language. It makes no sense for me to make fun of you for not speaking my language.
Yeah, how's it going, everyone? My name is Earlmeister, and welcome to the Loremeisters podcast. For today's episode, we're having one of the ultra megatonic YouTubers for Disney Lorcana, Brandon, also known as BSquared24. If you've been around Disney Lorcana YouTube videos, it's almost hard to miss a BSquared24 video. From deck building advice to box openings and highlighting inks in Disney Lorcana, you're definitely in for a treat with casual and fun videos, all the way to informative and educational ones too. Like many other kids on the block, Brandon grew up playing card games like Pokemon TCG and Yu-Gi-Oh! And as he got older, his love for card games didn't change. Only this time, he is playing a digital card game called Hearthstone. And during his time in college, Legends of Runeterra came out where he realized his true talent for card games and started playing really well. After graduating in November of 2022, he went back playing Pokemon again and started playing in local events for the first time. Soon after, in January 2023, after Disney Lorcana was introduced to him through an article from IGN showcasing the product images, he immediately fell in love with it. The art really got his attention, and he knew then something very special was coming. Following the event, he went on to scout YouTube and Spotify if there were already creators making content for Disney Lorcana, where he found a much smaller community than he was expecting. And since there was a void space in content at the time, he took the opportunity of making Disney Lorcana content himself. How's it going, everyone? And welcome to the podcast. I would like to deeply apologize that the first 5-10 minutes of the video has been cut from the video. And the reason why is there are some technical difficulties that happened that made it unwatchable. But before we start the podcast, I would like to keep you guys updated of what we have talked about before the podcast got cut off. We basically talked about how much he plays on his LGSs, and we had a deep conversation about the prices and how we felt like with Lorcana when it just started. We basically talk about him going to his LGS once or twice a week, and there's one near his house and the other one is farther where he doesn't go as frequent. And when it comes to the prices of LGS, we had a deep conversation about some LGSs that are being greedy about their prices, where they up the price about 20 to 30, sometimes 50%, and even sometimes the greediest ones are double the price. And we were bothered by that, and we had kind of like a heat up conversation expressing how much we do not want that to happen anymore for the Lorcana community in the future. And we also discussed that we think that this problem has already been solved by Ravensburger. So thank you very much, Ravensburger, for quickly resolving this and getting more people into Lorcana with much more fair prices from these LGSs. Now, we're about to start the podcast, and again, I want to deeply apologize for the technical difficulties that happened. And again, I'm going to make sure that moving forward from here, nothing else like this ever happens again. I hope you guys enjoy these conversations that me and Brandon or BSquared24 had, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Like, people just can't afford to play the game, and I get that there's a supply demand thing, but if you genuinely want people to play this game and enjoy it and make it accessible to people, you shouldn't charge $400 for a booster box that you got from your distributor for $90.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. Yeah, hopefully moving forward from here, it looks like the situation has been handled already by Ravensburger. I haven't seen any actual problem anywhere. If I'm being honest, all my friends as well have been getting their hands on any product that they want. Actually, now when I go to some of the LGS and some of the stores online or local shops, that there are some extra things that you can see in the shelves now, which is a really nice feeling, right? Because you see all these other card games, they have all these in the shelves, and you're always wishing that Lorcana is there, and that feels really good. Okay, so my next question is, what do you think about the cards that are revealed so far on set 3?
I think they're fun. I'm very excited about locations to see how it really changes the game. I think if we get some locations that are impactful and actually do stuff when they get played, it could really change up the game. I don't know if locations are going to be like songs and that they're played in a lot of decks, or if they're going to be more like items where there's kind of location centered decks more than anything.
Yeah.
But I'm probably most excited about locations. Also, just I love the landscape art. I think it's absolutely beautiful. All of the art in the game is beautiful, but I personally love landscape. So just excited for that in general. And then there's some cards coming out that we've seen that I think will really shake up what's been making this card game. I'm not gonna say stale, but makes people a little frustrated that certain cards are good. Being able to see the new Ursula card that allows me to look at your hand and then discard a song, that's going to be, I think, a really good card to counter decks that rely on Be Prepared and Whole New World, and cards that have given people some trouble. So
Yeah.
we don't have very many cards out for Into the Inklands yet, but they're already pretty spicy. So I can only imagine, what's still hiding that we don't know about yet.
I know. That Ursula reveal was like a gift to me personally. At least that's how I felt like, and I know many people as well feels exactly the same way. It's time that there. That we have a counter, and I hope that Ursula's not the only one or not the only card that does something like that. There's got to be some other thing, like maybe a song that prevents a song to happen, or an item that prevents things from singing, or an effect that your characters can't sing. Just basically the silence mechanic of Disney Lorcana. I'm very excited to see those, and like what you said, locations, right? Like when I saw Jim, I'm like, this card looks busted. But it
looks good.
It depends on how locations are gonna be, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see that. Also, I'm wondering if we're gonna see other titles as well. Other Disney titles that's gonna enter this, because like when you think of locations, like I think of like Tarzan, like swinging to locations for some reason. So I hope that we get to see some of that. Do you think there's gonna be other mechanics other than location stuff that's gonna be added for set 3?
I could see like an extra keyword coming in that they haven't revealed yet. I'm trying to think what we got for Rise of the Floodborn, because I know we got Resist.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was something else that I can't think of right now that we got. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was like one extra thing, an extra, a new keyword or something. One of the things I'm most excited about that I hope they do is not only can we get locations from existing IPs, but I hope we get locations that are in Lorcana. Like imagine if the Illuminary was a location you could play, or like there was like some area in the Inklands we don't know about yet that you can play as a location. Like that would be really cool, I think.
Yeah. I'm just super excited because I don't know why 3 months is such a short amount of time if you really think about it, but it feels so long when you're in these
Yeah.
card games. When you're playing so much of it, it feels like 3 months is like a whole year. And yeah, I'm super excited. I want to keep talking about it more, but there's really not much to talk about except for these few cards. The Dalmatians is really cool. There are some other cards on Discord that has been spoiled. I don't really want to talk about that right now because I want to respect whoever's like assigned with that revealed. You know, I don't want to take that away from them, but I have seen, these eyes have seen the coolest cards in
The new stuff.
the
Yeah.
world, the new stuff. But mostly I'm super excited for Ursula because that card is what I dream of, and Jim, the art is just really cool.
Yeah, every single set. I said this with Rise of the Floodborn. I don't know why, but after the first chapter, I expected the art afterwards to like still be fine, but not anything like crazy or special. Then we started seeing like Honey Wizard in like the
That's
Gargoyle
such a cool
Beast come
card.
out. And I was like, oh my gosh, this art makes me just as excited as I was about the original art. And the same thing's happening in Into the Inklands. Like we see new cards, and somehow they, you know, hit the ball out of the park again and make me just as excited for the upcoming set. You know, just to see the characters and stuff again, and the way that they've illustrated them.
Yeah, I really like that they added these a Dreamborn Floodborn edition to Lorcana, and not just like plain old classic cards, which I don't mind as well. I think that's pretty cool too. But like what you said, the Honey Wizard, it's such a cool card, and the Gargoyle Beast as well. I remember when I opened the packs and I saw the foil version. And you know the card is so cool when you keep moving your hands, because it actually looks good in real life, right? It's so underwhelming in camera. I'm not gonna lie, like it doesn't look as good in camera or pictures, but in real life, when you see it, you'll know it's foil, and it looks good when it's foil. Especially when you're playing some foil cards already on top of the board. People are like, "Oh, damn! Like you're playing some foil cards on your deck." Like,
Yeah, there's definitely some foil cards that I've pulled, and I've just had to stop and be like, dang, this looks way better than I was expecting it to look in foil. And yeah, you just have to take a second to appreciate the card.
Yeah. My next question now is going more into. I think we covered a lot of the fun stuff for Lorcana. I want to talk more about the competitive side of Lorcana. You played a lot of different card games before. You played Hearthstone. You played Runeterra. You played Pokemon. And in Pokemon Japan, they have one versus one and best of one type of matchups. Right now, we're using the best of three with one deck. You've seen it in Hearthstone where people will take multiple decks as well. And Runeterra, you take multiple decks. You get like 3 decks and one gets banned. You know, and there's there's even other formats in other card games as well. What do you think about the current format? Do you think this is the best format for Disney Lorcana? Do you think we should be trying some new other formats before we actually commit to this format now? I mean, I know this is such a long question. I just wanted to add, it was impossible for us to do 3 decks before because it's so expensive, the products, but now they're so affordable. You can build a deck for $100, maybe less. What do you think about the that current situation?
So I'll be honest, I actually really like the best of 3 format. Well, let me back up. I don't think the format of bringing more than one deck is really viable or accessible. The game is much cheaper than it was before, but like really good decks can still be $400, especially with Tragic Beast. There's plenty of decks out there that are less than that. I think the average is closer to around $200. But you know, asking me to bring 3 decks to an event and you know one of them gets banned, I think that's a lot of hurdles to jump through, a lot of cards that you need just to compete in an event. I could entertain the idea of bringing like 2 decks and then your opponent bans one and you ban one of your opponents. You know, maybe that could work. But again, I think the bar is pretty high in that scenario. So I really don't like that format outside of a digital TCG where it's just much easier to get all the cards that you need and put them together and change cards when needed.
Yeah.
In regards to best of 3 versus best of 1, the way we play the game now, I really like best of 3 because you don't know your opponent's ink pair before the game starts. And I've found with this game, mulligans are extremely important, especially once you know what you're playing against, because a lot of games are made or broken over whether or not you find like the 1 or 2 cards in your deck that are there to counter aggro or control or whatever it is that you're playing against. So I like the best of 3 format because you have a blind game, and then after that, you should know how to go about the next 2 games. So even if you lose the first one, there's a pretty good chance that you can come back for the second and third.
Yeah.
I could entertain a best of 1 if things like ink pairings had to be announced beforehand. I think you run into some problems later because, I mean, even now we're seeing like the raid boss of Ruby Amethyst has multiple different versions, and it's like a pendulum where people lean more into the control version of that deck, and then as the control gets really popular, people start putting in Arthurs and LeFous and things like that to be more aggressive. So even in a tournament setting, just knowing the ink pairing may not be enough for you to actually be able to mulligan correctly. And I would kind of hate to lose a game just because I didn't know like what to expect from my opponent. I think it's a lot easier in something like Pokemon where I don't believe they know the decks going into the game.
No, they
But
don't.
in
No.
Pokemon, it's so easy to like see every card of your deck every game just because of the professor's researches and ways you can dig through your deck. It's a lot easier to like get those cards that you tacked specifically for this matchup.
Yeah.
Whereas you can't really do that in Lorcana at all right now. So personally, I like the best of 3. I've heard a lot of people complain about all of the tiebreakers and stuff that are happening in best of 3.
Yeah.
But I mean, right now I think it's fine. I think in set 1 it may have been a problem with the way that how controlling and how long the Ruby Amethyst games were going. But I feel like in a competitive setting, you should know your deck really well, and like you should be able to play your lines relatively fast and fast enough to not run into those issues.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
part of
really
the
like
game.
the way things are right now. Yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
have to manage your time, and if you get to game 3, and you can't win because you ran out of time, I mean, that's partially your fault. I know that I know there's someone else on the other side of the table from you that could be slow playing or things like that, but that's why we have judges.
Yep.
Yeah, that's basically my thoughts on that.
Yeah. I do agree up to an extent. I like the idea of what do you call this? Element of surprise. But then again, it always comes down to if I go first, I would love the one of a format because the game right now, it's not impossible to win as I mean going second, but it's like chess, right? Mm-hmm. It's the moment you go in, you're 51-49 if you're going first, and then archetype starts to matter if you're playing aggro and then you're playing against mid range, then you would add a little bit more percentage to the mid range, right? Because and the rock paper scissors basically, even though Ruby Amethyst Bounce doesn't respect that, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, I do agree with you. Going into this, maybe best of 3 really is the best way. I mean, we can't really predict the prices in the future as well for bringing 3 decks, and I am with you with that. When it comes, although the idea sounds so fun, it's not very friendly, and then it could start causing drama that it's predatory, that they want you to spend more money into it. When Ravensburger, Steve Wagner, right, has announced in Twitter that the reason why some of the cards are rare, even though they're completely poopers, in my opinion. Like, I mean, not the art, but the thing that it does, right? Like Little John. Who's gonna play Little John? No one's gonna play Little John, right? But it's a rare. And then you have Jafar, and now you're gonna have this Ursula that's incoming. And he answered the question. It's like, why do you guys put this type of like rarity on it? And they said it creates a healthier market and card game, maybe not for collection at all times, but in general, for the players, you do not have to spend $1,000 to create an Ultra Megatonic deck. You don't always have to buy the best cards and create a deck around that. Now the best cards are more of like, it complements something good, but you can create a deck around a much cheaper card, and I like that. I really like that, because most companies nowadays, they're so greedy. It's just like what we were talking about earlier when it comes to like LGSs, right? Like they want more money, and I'm glad that, and I know there's a lot of like. We're not going to talk about politics, but I'm just going to mention this. There's a lot of like political people that just attacks Disney all the time when it comes to those type of stuff. And I wouldn't like Ravensburger, because they're not Disney. They're not Disney. They're working with Disney. But they could easily get attacked like that by these type of people. All right, we're gonna go on some of the fun segments that I prepared for this interview. I like having kind of like a game stuff with our guest in this interview, and we're gonna start with ban the cards segment. You're gonna have 10 seconds to answer this. Okay. Once you answered it, you can take your time explaining why. If you want to explain why, you don't have to, but you only have 10 seconds to pick a card for every single ink. And now we're gonna start with. Are you ready? By the way, you want a quick like breather before we go into this, because this is gonna go by fast.
Yeah. Okay, this is gonna be hard, but let's do it.
All right. So we're now entering the ban the card segment. Brandon here has 10 seconds to answer which card is he going to ban for each color or for each ink in Disney Lorcana. We're going to start with Amber. 10 seconds, go.
Amber, I mean, the strongest is probably Stitch Rockstar. I don't think he needs a ban, but like if we're just going the most powerful cards to ban, Stitch Rockstar is probably the one to do that in Amber for sure.
I wasted my money on those Stitch Rockstars. Damn it, they're getting banned. All right, we're going to Amethyst next. 10 seconds, go.
Goat. And I don't even have to think about this one. Merlin Goat.
How many times have you lost to Goat that you want to ban Goat?
Yeah, too many. I feel dirty playing that card.
Oh man, when they finally introduce a complete burn, and I think they will. And I think they will. A lot of card games have it. Red Deck Wins is one of the biggest example in Magic the Gathering. You played Runeterra. There are pingers in Runeterra. Decimate is a card.
I was one of those players.
Just I was one of those players as well. And you're gonna hate those cards once they come here, because Goat, at least you still have to pay. Play it. You know, you gain only one and all that. But once those cards come in, it's gonna be a scary game. All right, 10 seconds. Emerald, go.
I'm thinking Bucky. I think Bucky is probably the strongest Emerald card out there right now. Like being able to just play cards and then your opponent discards them, you know, I think is really strong. We see the Emerald Steel builds utilizing Bucky really well. And as we get better Floodborn cards, Bucky is just going to get better. So I think that's my pick for Emerald.
I was just gonna say, as the game progresses, as we get more set, it's gonna be scarier. All these Floodborn ones are gonna be scarier and scarier, honestly.
Yeah.
10 seconds for Ruby, go.
It has to be prepared, right?
Yes.
I don't think the card needs to be banned, but it's one of the strongest cards in the game. So like if you're gonna ban a card, be prepared.
Yeah, I don't think there's any everyone will have their own answer, because I asked this to everyone that comes in here. But I don't think there should be another answer other than be prepared, at least for now.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Sapphire. 10 seconds, go.
Sapphire, my first thought is Hades. I think it's Infernal Schemer. He's a really strong card. Being able to just play him and remove a card from play. He has a really big body, can quest for lots of lore. It's a big tempo shift. And so I think he's very strong in Sapphire. Again, I don't think he needs to be banned, but if we're talking about cards that, are really powerful, I think Hades is definitely up there in Sapphire.
I agree. I think Hades is also going to get stronger as the game progresses because we're definitely going to get some cards that that will be valuable in the future, where you can get one of your one of your cards from discard pile. And the thing about Hades is he does not allow you to do that. It goes to the lost zone. That's where it goes.
Basically.
It's gone forever.
Yeah.
It's gone forever. Next one is or the last one is Steel. 10 seconds go.
Okay, this one is going to be Whole New World. I don't think the card needs to be banned right now, but it is absolutely one of the cards that I could see being banned in the future, just based on other cards that, show up in the game that can utilize this card really well. I mean, just the amount that A Whole New World lets you dig into your deck for other cards already is really strong. Obviously, being able to play it for free is great. Being able to disrupt your opponent's hand is very beneficial. Right now, I don't actually think it's a problem, but I could definitely see in a year or two where it does become a problem.
Yeah. I think that A Whole New World, if the song mechanic is not there, it would be a completely totally fine card. We see this in Pokemon, and it's totally fine to have them. It still sucks when it's getting used for some other reasons, but the thing is, like, you can have a 3-cost body that sinks it for free. You don't have to spend anything. That's what's scary about it. But yeah, I like your answers a lot. I like your answers. I am pretty sad for the GOAT, but what other like better card other than the GOAT? Maybe if me, I would probably I would still pick GOAT. GOAT or Fox.
Couple. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. There's a couple Amethyst cards that I think could sit in this slot, and Fox is the next one. I think Fox is powerful. Like, she is just very good. You basically can't exert a character without being okay with that character being banished between turns 3 and 6, basically. And that's just way too strong for a 3-cost card.
Yeah. When Fox entered the game, you no longer have a peace of mind, and the fact that it could also take one of your 2 or 1-cost cards that's pretty much going to be useless moving forward from that game, and bring it back to turn it into ink. It's pretty nice. The next segment, let's do another short one. We're gonna do a couple of shorter ones, and then we're gonna do a much longer segment, which would take a few minutes instead of seconds. This one is another 10-second segment. This one is more about you and what you like in Lorcana. This is 10 seconds to answer segment for your favorite card. So there are 5 questions here. We're gonna start with the first one, which is, what is your favorite character to play? Favorite character card to play?
Stitch. Any Stitch card is my favorite.
I love Stitch as well. Nice, great answer. How about character art? I'm guessing Stitch, but which one? You got to be more specific with this one.
Okay, the Enchanted Stitch is really great, but I feel like that's cheating. So I'm going to probably pick the Carefree Surfer is my favorite Stitch out of all of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I like the Pudge fish with the peanut butter sandwich in the card art. That's just like the little flavor there, reference to the movie is the icing on the cake for me.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool addition to it too. I guess you answered the third question already, because the third one is going to be Enchanted.
Yeah, so Stitch.
It's Stitch.
Easy.
Number 4, what's your favorite song card?
I think my favorite song card, it's got to be Whole New World. I think the art looks really great on that card. It's just a really good card. Yeah, I played Amber Steel in the first chapter, and so I've had plenty of games with it. And that card is less feels bad to me than Be Prepared is. So like I don't feel as bad playing that card or having that card played against me.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. You have a love-hate relationship with it, I guess.
Yeah.
For the fifth one, what is your favorite item card?
Ooh. Favorite item?
And it doesn't have to be a good card, like your personal,
Yeah.
even if it's not getting played.
Yeah, I think it's still Popsicle. I just love how fun that is. Like just a little popsicle there, with the little paw imprint. It's just a fun card, and it happens to be good, but it's also fun.
I do agree. I do agree. It's such a friendly, like, good vibe card to look at, and it feels good when you actually draw it on first turn. I know I didn't say about like playing, but yeah, that's cool. Thank you very much for answering those. We're just trying to get to know you a little bit more.
Sure.
Now this one is this segment is totally just for fun. It could incriminate you, and I mean after the questions are done. But no, I'm just kidding. This one is called the 3 second segment. The first thing that comes in your mind when I say a word. That's
Okay.
what we're gonna be playing. So we have 5 questions as well on this, and you have 3 seconds. First thing that comes in your mind, first word that comes in your mind when I say a word. All right, number 1, squared.
I think of my aunt actually. She was the one that, yeah, she was the one that like gave me this nickname, and so like when I think of squared, I think of my name, and then in turn think of her.
All right, okay, sounds good. We're gonna go faster. You can explain your
Okay.
answer next turn. After we do this,
Okay,
but only
okay.
one word. Only one word
Okay,
after we
okay.
say it. Okay, so with squared, ant, Lorcana,
Card.
dead.
You said dead?
Yep.
Rat.
Game.
Lorcana.
Songs.
Disney.
Okay. All right. I like it. I like it. Nothing too bad. Although after I said dead game, it almost sounded like Lorcano was there.
Yeah, I wasn't. That's not where I was going with that one. But yeah,
I was trying to
I don't know,
bait.
some people would argue.
Yeah, I'm trying to bait out some stuff. But when I do this with people, when I did it with Citizens of Lorcana, Jared, he loves flounder so much. So I tried to get him to eat flounder for dinner by using this 5-word stuff. But that's really cool that you got your name from your aunt, the squared part.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, she for Christmas, my dad, my sister, and myself all share initials. Like it's the first letter of our first name is B, last letter of our first letter of our last name is B. So it started when Christmas would come around, and like our family would give gifts to our grandparents or whatever. Rather than writing all of our names out on the like from tag, she would just write like B and then squared or cubed, like based on how many people there were with that letter name. And then she always said that I should become an engineer because I was really good at math in school. And then I think that's kind of where the nickname like came from, was like B squared. It was math oriented, the engineer thing. So yeah.
That's cool. That reminds me of my sister-in-law, Molly May. I forgot the other M, but she was M cubed. M
Okay.
cubed. All right. This one, it's a little longer. This segment. We have 2 more segments before we finish. This one is called the real talk segment. I have 3 questions for this one. The first one is going to be, what do you think about the future of Lorcana as a game?
I think we can surpass the moon. Like, I think this game has the potential to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, trading card game, out there. Obviously, we're not there yet. We're not anywhere close to there yet. And a lot of other games have 30 years of history that we have catching up to do. But I cannot think of a single other IP that could potentially bring as many people into the game that Disney can. So like if Disney can't do it, I don't think anybody else can. I don't think anybody else can, any IP can bring people into the trading card game world, whether that's as collectors or players, whatever, it doesn't matter. I just like, I can see this game exploding in the next 5 or 10 years. And it's a lot of reason why I hopped on board on like the content creator thing and like went all in on this game. I don't play any other card games now. Like, I think this game just has the potential to go very, very far. And I'm excited to be here from the start and hope that I can watch it do that.
Yeah, I agree. If there's a title that can do that, Pokemon is pretty huge. But on if you actually step a couple step back and look at it, it's just huge right now because it's been around forever. Disney is like 10 times bigger. And
Yeah.
I know that's gonna be super harsh for Pokemon fans, and I love Pokemon. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Yeah,
But it's
but
just the
like you
truth.
start looking at the numbers and yeah, Disney surpasses everything. I
Yeah.
think like, I mean, there's a chart that circles the internet every couple years, but I think like Winnie the Pooh by itself, that IP, like almost catches up to Pokemon. And it's like, that's just one of the things under the Disney umbrella, not even the most popular thing. When you start counting Frozen and then all the other awesome princess IPs, just the classic Disney stuff.
Yeah.
I definitely think it has the potential to just skyrocket past everything else.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially with how Frozen was brought in, and even just that one song, it breaks a lot of like records when it comes to how many people are following this, how many people knows this, and yeah, and it's a way more. Not that Pokemon is something like Call of Duty or any like rated M title,
Yeah.
but Disney is such a much more welcome title in a household for everyone to play and for everyone to do together.
Yeah, like I don't think I could ever get my parents to like participate in a Pokemon game with me, but like they know what Disney is. They watch Disney. So this is a game that both the children and the parents are very likely to appreciate and enjoy.
Yeah, I agree. Number 2 question. What do you think about the future of the competitive scene of Disney Lorcana?
So, having only really followed Pokemon's competitive scene when it comes to like physical card games, right now they're doing very well for themselves. They've been growing, I think, really since 2020, maybe even before that. But their regionals are getting close to like 2,000 participants every time there's a regional, which I think is a crazy number to be pulling in for a card game for a physical event that's a weekend long.
Yeah.
And because of everything that I said to the question before this one, I think the competitive scene has lots of potential as well. I think if Ravensburger does a really great job of not only making it something that competitive players would be interested in even going to, getting a lot of people to travel to it, but also just making it a full weekend event for Disney fans and casual Lorcana players, I could see huge attendance numbers coming for Lorcana. I've said this before in other outlets, but I hope they broadcast games. I hope they make it this huge whole thing. Although I'd be happy with any events, and I'd be happy to go to a convention that Lorcana happens to be at, and they're hosting a regional there. I hope they do their own thing, and it's just a weekend that is just the Lorcana, world championship or national or regional or whatever.
At Disney World in Florida. Let's go, baby.
Exactly. Yeah, let's do it. Like there's so much potential there if they tap into it. And I really think people will go out of their way and travel to do those things.
Yeah, I completely agree. And plus, if there is ever an event that I'm going to go to where it's a win-win, it's got to be Disney Lorcana, because if they do this on the Disneyland, like the major events at least, if they do it in a Disneyland, after I lose, I'm gonna get out of that convention.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go to the Disneyland part of the thing.
Exactly.
Ride a ride, go to the Little Mermaid ride or the Small World ride, and after that ride, I'm good. No saltiness around my body anymore.
Exactly. It's like if you scrub out of the tournament, who cares? Leave and go to the park. Like it's no matter what, no matter the outcome, it's worth the trip because you're
Yeah.
either going to do really well or you're going to scrub out and you get to go to the park for a day and a half. Like that sounds great to me.
And the community is just really really awesome. Like
Oh yeah.
if I go to one of the majors and I get to meet these people from the stream, from Twitter, not just the content creators, even the people that are commenting, and
Yeah.
as a viewer you get to meet them. It's a one big ass family that is so nice to each other. You know, there's always that one or two c word, I'm not gonna say it, you know, that they think they're so cool and they're so edgy, you know, that treats everyone that they're better than they are better than the others. But 99% of the community, I gotta say, out of all the games that I played,
Mhm.
everyone's so freaking cool. Everyone's so laid back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone's very like for the most part, everybody's very inclusive. It's something that I was very, very happy to see early on. Like the content creators that had a voice and were kind of setting the tone for the community. It was very important that inclusivity was one of those things. Everybody wanted to make sure that this was a game that was accessible to anybody, which means like we have to invite everybody. We have to be welcoming of everybody, you know, whether they're competitive players, casual players, like, you know, no matter their gender or race, like any of that stuff.
Yeah.
We for the majority of the community, I think tries to be as inclusive as possible, and you know I think there's still work to be done just as in a TCG in general and the stigma and like the kind of people that attracts. But absolutely, I would agree the Disney Lorcana community is one of the best, if not the best, communities that I know I've ever been a part of, and I'm very very happy and like proud to call myself a Disney Lorcana player and represent that community.
Yeah, I agree. The leaders of the community, the people on the front, the face of all the channels and all that. Everyone's so friendly. They're such a great model, role
Mhm.
model to everyone that's going in and that's been a part of the game. And I hope it continues that way. All right. The next question, last question on the Real Talk segment. What do you think about the future of prices for collectors in Lorcana?
Ooh, okay. Um, this is a hard one because we don't really know. Like the game's so early, we don't really know what Ravensburger is going to do in regards to reprinting stuff. So I'll say this much: I think if you have D23 cards, you should hold on to those cards as tightly as possible because that's the closest thing we're ever going to get ever to a first edition, card. Those are going to be the Black Lotuses of Disney Lorcana. And I think for collectors, like, even though they're super expensive right now, I still think picking, if you don't have any, picking them up and just holding them for collector purposes is smart because I only see them going up. They're not going to get remade again. Um, I feel like the same will happen with enchanteds and things like that. I don't think all like your common cards are gonna hold a whole lot of value. I can still buy cards from Pokemon from their base set, for a few bucks. So like I
Yeah.
don't think every single card in the first chapter is gonna hold tons of money. But I think like the enchanteds and maybe some of the foil legendaries and things like that, they'll gain value as time goes on for collectors, and I definitely think that there's reason to hold on to them. I think that the fact that it's a Disney IP by itself means that there's a huge collectors market out there that I still don't think has been tapped into completely.
Yeah.
Every time I hear about people going to Disney World or going on a Disney cruise or one of the parks and the workers not even knowing what Lorcana is, and like a lot of the people not even knowing what Lorcana is, I think there's a huge group of collectors out there that this game hasn't even reached because it's been so difficult to get to. And as soon as people find out that, oh, there's this card game where there's 13 different Elsa cards that I can collect and foil, and there's also this really rare enchanted card,
Yeah.
I think as this game gets more popular and we hit more of those markets, we'll see a similar thing to Pokemon, honestly, where a large majority of the fan base are collectors and people who just like opening the product because they want to find their favorite, character cards. Um, I think the game has tons of potential for collectors, especially in the future. And I don't see Ravensburger stopping printing Stitches and Elsas and Rapunzels and all the popular characters that everybody loves. So I think there's always going to be chase cards for sets and cards that people are looking after more than any of the others.
Yeah.
So I think the game's set up, to do very, very well in a collector's eyes in the future.
Yeah. Like what you said, it haven't reached some of the other collectors because how could they know when they don't see it in the shelves? Like it does not exist on some shelves even today. But Ravensburger is doing a great job on dealing with that. Yeah. All right. So the last segment that we're gonna cover is the look forward into the future segment. There's only 4 questions on this one, and the first question is what do you look forward into when it comes to the circuit that they announced?
I'm looking forward to having an official competitive scene that should be relatively easy to follow. I know that there's plenty of other third-party people out there that are running competitive events that competitive players are going to, and it's good to stay on the lookout for who's on the top and who's making names for themselves. But I think it's going to be much easier to do that when there's an official circuit that players can go to regionals and, John Smith keeps topping, all the tournaments. We should look out for him. And I find that in official competitive circuits and formats, you get these really cool stories that form because people keep showing up and playing, and so won last year and they lost to this person, and now this year this person's like doing really well. Are they going to face back up in Dallas regional, or like there's just so much cool stuff that happens in a competitive circuit. There's so much content that can be made out of it. It's like, it's so entertaining. Even though I don't watch, or even though I don't follow and play Pokemon very much, I'll still tune in to like their weekend regionals just to watch. And like I follow competitive Pokemon players, even though I don't follow the game at all, because it's just so fun to see these personalities made and like, people to follow and stuff like that.
Watch
so
Tord kick some ass.
Yeah, exactly. And so like that's what I'm excited to see, are the personalities that come out of it and these competitive players and stories that get told, and like really fun, like upsets. It's just like sports or anything else. You enter this big tournament and somebody gets knocked out that is supposed to be, one of the top seeds for the tournament. Like I'm so excited for that kind of stuff more than anything.
Yeah, I want that to happen so bad for Lorcana too. It's like what you said. I watch a lot of esports that I don't even play the game anymore. But it's just like sports in general. It's nice to have a scene. It's nice to follow some players and possibly some teams in the future. I like that a lot. What about look forward into the future when it comes to events? What kind of events do you want to see that Lorcana brings out to us aside from the circuits?
I would love to see events that really invest isn't the right word, but I want Ravensburger to recognize the potential that they have with this game and not short themselves. I feel like they've had a history in the release of this game of not expecting it to be as big or as accepted as it is. So I don't want them to hold back. I want them to have like weekend long events that have stuff, have side events for casual players along with the competitive stuff. I basically want it to be like Lorcana Con, like every time there's an event, there's stuffed animals and there's t-shirts and playmats and, all kinds of cool stuff that you can get there, and you can play with all your friends. You can
turn the convention into a Disneyland.
Yeah, exactly. It's like just do all of that, because I think you can pull so many people just between the Disney fans and the TCG players that I don't know. I have a hard time not seeing it succeed, and I hope that Ravensburger isn't afraid to like put the money forward and make something great out of these events and like do it and just like have so many people show up.
I just wanted to mention this. When I went to last year was the biggest internationals in Europe for Pokemon ever, and I went.
Really?
My expectations was so high going into there, and don't get me wrong, the event was fun. The event was fun, but there's like a small area where you can take pictures that looks like with the Pokemon stuff. There's this other small area where the mascots would come out, you know, the first 3 of the new set, and then Pikachu. And there's a long line where you take a picture, and there's a bunch of stores, the LGSs on that area. They have their stalls. There's probably like 10 of them. Aside from that, you have a bunch of tables for TCG, for what do you call this, for their League of Legends version of I forgot what it's called.
What you're talking about.
Yeah,
I don't remember what it's called either.
Yeah,
Pokemon
Unite. Yeah, Pokemon Unite, and then they have the one for the actual Pokemon. So they have like all these sections. Aside from that, there was nothing else. If you're a competitor, it's a lot of fun to go to. If you're not a competitor, there's the side events where you can still play some card games like drafts and stuff like that. But other than that, there was nothing more. And I don't know what I'm expecting, but I'm expecting more. And when you said that, you want all these like different things going on and basically turn it into a small Disneyland. I think that we can do that as a Disney community, and I'm behind you on that. I hope Ravensburger or Ravensburger, I don't really know how to pronounce it properly, that they would go all in on that. Just stop all these conventions. Like, let's make this epic as fudge.
Yeah. I mean, you have to give people, like, the biggest thing for me, you have to give people who aren't competing a reason to be there. And if there's nothing to do except for, you know, a couple side events and you take pictures with, you know, Elsa or whatever, like, I don't think that's going to be enough. I think you have to not only create a lot of really cool side events that you can go to, but create, you know, have like a Disney movie watch party area, or like have places where you can watch like the current games that are being broadcast, you know, like give stuff for the casual people that are there to watch, or the people who went with their friends, or like parents that went, you know, so that their kids could go, like give them stuff to do, make it a whole event that everybody's going to want to go to, not just the competitive players.
Yeah, learn how to make popsicle in real life.
Yeah, that would be great.
If you're looking for some people to hire, me and Brandon are here, Ravensburger. If you're listening,
yes,
I know you can hear us. I'm just kidding. All right, the third one, second to the last question. What Disney title are you looking forward to joining the Disney Lorcana set?
This one's tough because a lot of my favorites are already in the game. Yeah. Well, no, it's not because I can think of a lot. It's because like all of my favorites are already in the game, basically. So I'm gonna have to dig deep for this one. I think Hunchback of Notre Dame would be really cool to see.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's like it's a much more serious like Disney film. But even as a kid, I probably didn't get half of the themes going on in that movie. But I remember like realizing this is a really cool movie, and like it's one that's not the most popular, but I think it's one that I remember from my childhood more than any of the other ones that are already in the games. It would probably have to be that. I think that would be pretty cool.
I did love watching Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's really hard for me to pronounce because like I pronounced these titles when I was still in Philippines, and I didn't talk or speak English at the time. And some of these names, and some of them are dubbed in Tagalog as well. So like it's really weird for me when I move to the West, and everything else is different when it comes to names, the songs, and all of that stuff, you know? Yeah. It's like watching anime, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, exactly.
All right, Disney character. If there's a Disney character you want to see, who would it be?
I would love to see Nani from Lilo and Stitch. We have quite a few like Stitch characters still, but like there's a lot we're still missing. There's not Pleakley, there's not Nani. I'm blanking on the boyfriend's name.
Yeah, David, I think.
David,
David,
yes.
yeah, David, yeah.
Like I'd love to see those guys because they're like big characters in the movie. Like Nani is a great like I mean she's raising her sister basically as a mother, like working a job. I don't even know if she's 20. Like I forget, but she's like super young.
Yeah.
Like super awesome and character that I think a lot of people can relate to. And I think it would be really cool to see her in Lorcana in some way.
I was not expecting that answer, but I love that you chose that character and how you explained why you chose her. I completely agree. Like, there's still so many of this. She's not even a side character, honestly. Like, she's a main character in Lilo and Stitch, and we still haven't seen her yet. And yeah, I wonder what she's gonna do, but that's a story for another day. I've held you here for too long already. Before we finish this interview, I was wondering if there's any other trends you wanna mention that we missed, or anything cool you think that we should have talked about here, or are you good with pretty much what we covered?
I like to promote this in any capacity that I can, so I don't think it's really something that like we should have talked about or has to be brought up at all times. But I think I think inclusivity is extremely important, especially in trading card games. You know, there's 30 years of history of there being straight white guys like myself, you know, dominating this space, and so I just highly encourage that, you know, people are nice and friendly to any other minority genders or races or people from different religions. Like whoever shows up to your LGS, treat them kindly. Let them know that they have a place in this space. We want a diverse community and one that's accepting of everybody. And it can be difficult at times because I don't know about you guys, but like I'm an introvert. I can be really awkward when it comes to talking to people in person. So it can be hard to like walk over to somebody you don't know and just be like, hey, I'm glad you're here. I hope you come back. But I think it's very important at all times to be thinking about how we can make this space more inclusive and make those people feel comfortable enough to continue to come back. So not that like that needed to be a whole topic for the podcast or anything, but it's something important to me and something that I think I try to preach whenever I can. So I'm just
with you on that.
There.
I'm with you on that. You heard what he said. Don't make fun of me for my ums. Like I didn't write a whole thing that I can read. English is my second language. Give me a break. I say a lot of ums because I have to think how I'm translating as I speak in my head when I talk English.
I can only speak one language. It makes no sense for me to make fun of you for not speaking my language like as fluently as I can and sometimes can't. You know, makes no sense.
No, on a serious note, though, I am with you on that. Like what you said, you know, I don't really feel that anymore because I've been on the West for longer than I have been in Asia, but there was a point in time as an introvert as well. I got better throughout the years, and believe me, outside of camera, I'm not like this. I know I'm like super energetic and all of that. You know, I am an introvert. I'm a nerd as well. You know, and the thing is like. Being a minority and an introvert at the same time, it's like double introvert level. The anxiety is so high because like I wonder if they will understand me. I wonder if they will accept me, you know, for who I am. And there's always that thing in the back of your head. I hope I don't get made fun of for the way I sound. I hope I don't get made fun of for the way I look, you know. And I totally agree with you on that. And I honestly think with people like you, I've had two guests so far. I've had you and I mentioned earlier, Jared. Everyone is just so freaking nice and so welcoming. And I hope that everyone else is coming in and joining us in this community, that I hope you guys have that Ohana vibe. You know, we are family here. No one gets left
Ohana.
behind.
Exactly.
Or forgotten. Yeah. Well, all right. I just want to say, everyone that's watching, thank you guys very much for listening to us. You can find all of Brandon / BSquared24 stuff that down there on the link below. or on not on the comment section, the description section. You can see all his link with his Twitter, his YouTube, or anything else he wants to plug in there. If you have a merch store as well, go ahead, plug it in there too. No, but seriously, that's where you can check him out, and please do. He's very informative with this videos. He makes a lot of fun and competitive and educative stuff on his YouTube. Check him out soon. Is there anything else you want to say, Brandon, before we leave this podcast?
I think you hit it on the head, dude. Thank you so much for inviting me to this. I had an awesome time.
Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. All right, well, that would be it for today on the Loremeisters podcast, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.
Bye.